Hey, thanks everybody for coming here today. This is a pro event for Sioux Falls Synergy. I know many of you guys are members with our group. It's a young professionals group here in Sioux Falls, and we exist solely to kind of provide young professionals with opportunities to network and to better themselves through things like this, pro events, professional development, and also community service type events we call our civic events. If you guys want more information on Synergy, and if you're not a member and you'd like to join, we have some little pamphlets in the back for you guys to take away with you. There's actually a sign-up sheet on the back of those you can mail in. Today our event is a listening and learning session here with Mayor Mike. So I will, without further ado, turn the floor over to him, and we'll get started.
Well, thank you. First of all, thanks for being here with me today. I really, really appreciate it. I really enjoy these listening and learning sessions. It's one of probably the most fun things of my job. A lot of folks think that I'm crazy for continuing to do these listening and learning sessions, but it's something that I truly enjoyed when I first ran for mayor. I learned a lot about the people. I learned a lot about what they thought the issues were or the opportunities were. When I was running for mayor that first time, I said, well, if I am elected, I'll continue this in the spirit of listening and learning, and it's been a great journey. I try to change the audience up as much as I can because we are a pretty diverse community. We're young and old, we're rich or poor, we're black or white. Many of us are from different countries, different cities, different backgrounds. So, getting to understand different perspectives is important for me as your mayor. Sioux Falls Synergy, this is one that always intrigues me when I have a group of young professionals. I was a young professional at one point in time, and it was a time, and I still believe that that I could conquer the world. That anything I wanted to accomplish, I could do that. I was going to have to work for it. I was going to have to study for it. But ultimately, these were my dreams, and I was going to try to accomplish them. I love young professionals. I especially love young professionals that are living in the city of Sioux Falls. I guess my only wish is that I wish there were more of you, more young professionals coming back to Sioux Falls or ultimately choosing to live in Sioux Falls. We've got right now about a 3.3% unemployment rate. And one of our struggles is that we've got companies, we've got corporations, we've got businesses, we've got nonprofits, we've got organizations that are really, they want to grow. They want to increase their margins. They want to do things in an expanded fashion, and they're struggling finding the people to fulfill those roles. So we'll probably talk about that a little bit today. In terms of what Sioux Falls is missing, why what do we need to attract even more good young professional folks like you, and so we'll talk about that or whatever else you want to talk about. And I mean it. It is truly a listening and learning session. You can hammer me on any topic that you want. And in fact, the more that you do, actually the viewers enjoy it more. So I've had some great questions over the years and some great opportunities to engage the people, and I know that'll happen again today. So, I can talk all day about the city, but my preference would be, at least to start off, because again, you folks came on a gorgeous day to engage me. I'd really like to open it up for any questions that you have, or if you don't even want to ask a question, you just want to vent a little bit on a topic, do that. Just vent. Because again, I learn every time that you do. The people watching the program, and there's a ton of people watching this program, they enjoy learning as well. And again, you are a demographic that is growing in this town. The voice is getting stronger. Your power is getting stronger. But we still have a ways to go. We do. you know, I'm going to shut up right after this comment, I swear. The event center debate was a perfect example of where I think that the power of the younger generation, the younger professional, really played a role, not only in the debate, and the due diligence, but also truly in the outcome. And I know that not everybody voted yes in this room. I respect that. But I know it was a topic that folks from 18 to 98, they were just truly engaged in it. And now we're actually we're building our new event center, and it'll be open here in August, in all sincerity. So again, let's talk about any topic that you have. And again, I want to thank you for doing this. So who's got the guts to ask the first question or vent a little bit? Anything. Come on, what's a hot topic?
All right, I'll start.
Thank you.
Since you left off with the event center,
Yes.
what are the biggest challenges you think the city's going to face in the first 2-3 years of that building being open?
Well, I think that the biggest challenge for me personally, as well as for those that fought hard to ultimately get it done, is meeting the expectations. I mean, it was a volatile debate. There were people who felt this is the way it should be, and there were others who felt, no, this is the way it should be. There's always critics and naysayers or second guessers who will never forget, oh, I remember when the mayor said this, or I remember when they said this in the debate. Well, the greatest challenge over the next 2 to 3 years is that we're going to have to meet those expectations. And I think we've done it in a grand fashion so far. And in fact, I think we've exceeded them just about in everything. You know, we talked about, building it on time. Well, it's going to be built on time. There were a ton of folks who never thought we'd ever stay within budget, ever. We're going to stay within budget. And in fact, we've got a reserve fund right now, a contingency fund right now, that has allowed us to really enhance the customer experience at the event center, and you'll see it soon. But also, we've got some money set aside so that first year, as we're learning, making mistakes, figuring some things out, we've actually got some money sitting on the sides that can help us address those needs that we may have. You know, just like when you build a new house or things like that. You always like having a little money on the side to do this or capture this opportunity that you didn't think of. 85% of the jobs in terms of building this $117 million public investment, they're local. You know, local women, local men that are building our new event center, 85%. There were a ton of folks who said that would never happen. Well, it is. A lot of naysayers said, 12,000 seats, are you kidding me? That thing will never be utilized at that rate. Well, as you all know, probably, our first 3 concert announcements, they were all sold out in less than an hour. I mean, that sounds insane, but it has been. You know, Eric Church, gone. Cher, gone. Jason Aldean, Florida Georgia Line, gone. So there is this insatiable demand for entertainment. So I think we're going to have to ensure that goes well. And then the one that I am probably most cognizant of, and I tell you, I've got 30 plus years of business experience. I told the folks that if they voted yes on that thing, that we would run it like a business, and that ultimately we would operate that thing in the black. And we're going to. We're going to. And if we don't, oh, am I going to hear about it? I will. But I think that kind of gives you a little indication of the expectations of the everybody when it comes to our new event center, incredibly high. The there's going to be some things you're not going to like, Jennifer. You know, there's going to be some things you're not going to like, and there's going to be some things you're not going to like. You know, we have high expectations in this town, but ultimately, I think that we're going to exceed them, and really, I think you're going to love it. Can I ask? Were you able to get any tickets? I'm
not a country fan.
You're not okay.
So, no.
Are you a Cher fan? No. No. Well, it has been a challenge. You know, we've got 12,000 seats. People can buy up to 4 tickets. So really, 3,000 people can really capture all those tickets in a pretty quick period of time, and ultimately they did. So thanks for kicking off the meeting with that. Appreciate it. Other topics, anything?
I just have a question.
Thank Jennifer.
The,
Yeah.
Event center.
Yes.
With 12,000 people, how is parking going to be? Because if there's a couple of events going on.
I love it. I love it. And Jennifer, can I ask you, now, are you originally a Sioux Falls person?
I've been in Sioux Falls since 1998, so
Okay.
I've been here for a while.
Where did you come from?
Norfolk, Nebraska.
Norfolk, Nebraska. And I'm
Yep.
originally Yankton, South Dakota boy.
Oh, yeah,
So I know Norfolk well.
yep.
Well, this is kind of fun already. You know, I'm even with a younger group, and the second question involves parking. I get hammered on parking as your mayor almost as much as I do roads. It is a really big deal for people in Sioux Falls and in South Dakota. We're just not used to walking anywhere. Jennifer, one of the commitments we made to the people is that we would also have adequate parking. You know, we worked with consultants to identify, okay, if we do have a 12,000 sellable seat event center, along with an arena, a convention center, and we've got multiple events, how many parking spots will we need? Do we need to construct more? What do we need to do? We feel very strongly that we've got adequate parking. We do. Now, getting folks to walk a block or two, you know, from a new parking lot that we've constructed or from existing parking lots that are always there, that is our challenge. And so we've been trying to educate people more and more about all the other parking venues that are right around the event center complex. Because there are plenty. There are. It's just, you know, we all want to park close. You know, we don't want to walk far when we come in, and we don't want to walk far when we go out, and we especially want that to be a reality during the winter. During the winter. You know, we have bad weather, you know, a long time in this city and in this state, and so it is something that we consider. Now, I'll touch on I'll broach a subject that kind of ties in, and you didn't ask this, but I'm going to broach it anyway. You know, parking ramp. You know, Mayor, we're going to build a parking ramp. I would strongly discourage us ever building a parking ramp out there. They're unbelievably expensive to build. And, you know, if you would utilize them during the day, for example, like you're downtown during the day, and then you'd utilize them for another purpose at night, then it'd probably be a feasible investment. But just to build it for, you know, a 12,000 sellout share concert that's going to happen, you know, once a month or maybe even twice a month, it just wouldn't be a good investment. So we're looking at other things to do. Russell Street, that'll be done here in October. Eventually we will have a walkway over Russell Street towards, you know, Elmwood Golf Course and towards that other land over there. That land over there is going to get completely redeveloped, and then there will be additional parking there too. So, Jennifer, good question. It's amazing. It is a topic that'll never go away, including downtown. You know, including downtown. You know, people want convenient, cheap, safe parking. So good job. Thank you. And thanks for picking Sioux Falls as a place to live. Thank you. Others? Any topic? Yes, thank you.
With the recent storms and stuff, I guess, have you seen Any areas of improvement that we've maybe missed in the last couple of years with spillways, waterways, drainage, things like that?
Great job.
You know, anything coming up in that area?
Always, always. However, you have to give kudos to leaders before me, counselors before me, taxpayers before me, as well as leaders during my administration. We take flooding, we take waterways, we take drainage, we take sanitary sewer lines. We take it very, very seriously in this town. We do. We don't mess around with it. And so we invest in it. And thank goodness we did. You know, since I've been your mayor, there's been 5 emergencies since I've been your mayor. 2 of them have involved flooding or potential flooding. And we've made some substantial investments, even in the last 4 years, to really help us out. Probably more so as you saw along 229. You saw for almost 2 years, we were putting in this mammoth, sewer lines and water lines and improving levees and drainage areas and waterways. So we handled that storm actually quite well, except for one thing, and I'm going to get to that. But we are always looking for other areas to improve. For example, this is going to sound a little, and everybody's had their lunch or continue to eat. But guess what we do? We actually, 4 years ago, we actually bought cameras to actually go into sewer lines and water lines to find those weak links. You know, what's leaking? What old concrete lines are crumbling? As well as we're also looking for something else. We're trying to find citizens that are putting their sump pump water into their drains, and we can find that. That truly was the weakest link of this last storm. It wasn't so much our infrastructure. We believe our weakest link was we still have citizens, good people, taxpayers. I love them, but my gosh, they made me mad. And they still are making me mad, because what they're doing is they're putting all of you at risk, and they're putting the city at risk. When you take your sump pump water and you put it directly into your floor drain, what that does is it goes to our water treatment plant, and then we have to treat that water. Well, what happened in this last storm is that we maxed out the full capacity of our treatment plant. We maxed it out. And one of the biggest reasons is that we had all this sump up water going into our sewage lines. Instead, they should have been going to our storm water system, out to the road, so that it goes into the storm drain system. And then what that does is it carries it right to either the Big Sioux or other drainage areas that we have. It's cheaper for the taxpayer. It's the right thing to do, and it doesn't put your neighbor or the city at risk. If you've got if you 5 folks, you lived in the same neighborhood, if all 5 of you decided to put your sump pump water into your drain, what you're doing is you're putting this gentleman who also lives right in your neighborhood, the odds are good his sewage is going to back up in his drain. Because it doesn't have enough capacity to handle all the stuff that you're pumping in there. So, but we're always learning. Every emergency that we have, we find better ways to handle it. Whether it's an ice storm, whether it's a flooding situation, whether it's a power explosion in downtown Sioux Falls, no matter what it would, locusts, whatever it would be, we're learning from that. What do you think we could have done better?
Oh, I guess I thought everything performed pretty well.
Okay.
Compared to a couple of years ago. That's why I just wasn't sure if any flaws were, exposed in the system that the upgrade.
Well, 4 years ago, I'll never forget it. I was taken to neighborhoods when we had, these big rainstorms. I was taken to neighborhoods, and you can't imagine, we were hauling out old carpet and sofas and people's personal goods by the truckloads. And, you know, I had some really mad neighbors, and they were inviting me into their home and showing me, you know, hey, Mayor, my water line was up to here or up to here. And that's why we made those investments. That's why the city council made those investments, and it really paid off. You know, we still believe that we had people that had water going through their, you know, their eaves, through their window wells, but it was much better than it's probably ever been. This was a massive rain, massive rain. Thank you. That's a great question. Others? Yes, thank you.
I live near downtown, and so I'm interested in how you're going to redevelop the rail yard once that moves.
Great job. Great job. The question that was asked for the viewers is that you live downtown, and you're intrigued by, you know, what's going to happen with the 10 acres of land once we ink the deal with Burlington Northern, the rail yard relocation project. First of all, thanks for living downtown. You're one of the lucky people who's been able to get a hotel or a rental unit or a condo in downtown. They're being, you know, sucked up like hotcakes. We are hoping to ink the deal with Burlington Northern in September. And my goodness, I hope we do. It has been the most challenging, most convoluted project that I've been involved in as your mayor, because there's so many entities involved. The federal government, you know, they gave us the money for the project. You have to work with the railroads, Burlington Northern, Eastern Ellis, and others. The state, environmental groups, citizens, and so much more. But we are going to ink that deal, and then we'll have an opportunity to redevelop 10 acres of land right in the heart of our downtown. Here's what we've done. We've got groups of citizens that are already put together that are evaluating downtown Sioux Falls, trying to figure out what do we need in terms of culture, in terms of places to live, in terms of public safety, in terms of business environment, public transportation, walkways, bike paths, whatever it would be. And so that's going on now. They're giving us their recommendations. And then once we ink the deal, we'll start to put some of those recommendations into play. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. Burlington Northern, they'll have up to 2 years to remove those tracks, most of those tracks, and then, you know, we'll be developing or redeveloping or planning or zoning that land as fast as we can. Now I say fast, but at the same time, we want to do it right. This is one of those things. This is one of the reasons why you get into public service, is that you have the ability to really put your mark on something that's gonna be there long after you pass away. And whatever we do in downtown Sioux Falls on those 10 acres is gonna be here long after I'm gone, long after you're gone. And so we want to do it right. And I'm incredibly excited about it. But it will be a combination of places to live, to work, to play, to reflect. And we want to do it well. I just came back from Europe. I was in Europe for about 8-9 days. And you know, they have these in just about every city in Europe, you'll have like a central square. And people work there, they play there, they live there. There's there's green space, there's statues, there's people riding their bike, walking, there's rail cars usually. I personally, that would be something that I think that we could have and should have, and I think it would tie in nicely to what we've got down there. But I'm not ultimately in charge of it. We'll have a number of folks involved, and I would encourage all of you folks to get involved in that too. I really would. Downtowns are vital to your generation. Vital. I mean, there's many of you who choose cities where to live based on how vibrant their downtown is. It is. And so we want to make sure that we do it right. I think we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. You want to grab? Yes. Can I grab that real quick? Thank you. Can I ask where did you? Are you originally from Sioux Falls?
No, I've been here since 2003.
Okay.
But I've grown up a lot of places, and that's why this kind of speaks to something that has been it's been on me for quite a while.
Yes.
I was born, obviously, overseas. I was born in Nigeria. I lived in England for about 6.5 years.
Yes.
So I've traveled a lot. But when I came to the United States and I saw how the infrastructure is it's, how it's built up. Some of the stuff I liked because it was monumental and it was in a larger scale than some places. And that's what I liked about bigger cities. Before here, I was in Indiana,
Yes.
Indianapolis, where I did most of my high school and college. So I saw a city, and to me, a city is a large area. When I came here, my parents were trying to get me to come over here to be closer to them. They're giving me reasons like, oh, you know what, there's probably opportunity for growth. There's opportunities for young people. I believe them, but obviously it wasn't at the time.
No.
And when I came here, the biggest thing that turned me off of Sioux Falls was I was looking for downtown.
Yes.
And they were like, oh, well, you passed it. And I was like, there's no possible way I could have passed downtown. There's no buildings
Yes.
high enough. It's not like enough there are not enough structures to for some people to be like, you know what, I want to come over here because this is downtown. Look at it. This is what we have. And so that's why you kind of answered some of the question in some of the thinking you guys are doing for the future with pulling off the rail and stuff like that. But are there going to be larger structures, and how can you table this without seeming like, oh, I'm just trying to make downtown bigger,
Good. Well, first of all, I commend you for your comments.
Okay.
And you're not alone. You're not alone. There has been there's a number of folks who've been for years wanting to truly create, a really, really vibrant downtown, and it's kind of ebbed and flowed, and there have been some risks, and there have been some mistakes, but there's also been a lot of good things that have happened too. I've only been the mayor for 4 years, but I'm unbelievably excited about how far we've come. But I'm even more excited about what's yet to come. But it's not easy because, first of all, investing in downtown is very, very expensive. If you do an infrastructure improvement, first of all, welcome. Good to have you here. If you do an investment of a block of infrastructure in downtown, it costs you about 10 times as much as if you did it outside of downtown. So it's very expensive. But at the same time, it is your heartbeat. It is a city's heartbeat, that downtown. And you want it to be just pumping at the highest level. And I think that it's never pumped stronger than what it is right now. We've got new businesses sprouting up downtown. We've got people that are choosing to live downtown, in fact, in ways that we've never, ever imagined. We are investing in our public infrastructure, our River Greenway. We're done with phase 1. Did that one in 2010, 2011. Finished phase 2, 2013. Now we're going to focus on phase 3 to kind of create, that river walk atmosphere that you'll see in San Antonio and places like that. We've got developers, investors that are just hungry about downtown. They are chomping at the bit. And in fact, land that used to be available is now pretty much gone because everybody wants a piece of this downtown pie. Now, I do need to touch on one topic. You said, Mayor, there's no really big buildings here. Well, as you probably know, it's driven by supply and demand. It really is. A developer or a speculator or an investor, they're going to build that property based on what they believe is their right business plan, so that ultimately determines how high it's going to be or how large it's going to be. However, we've got some examples in our town where, for example, we've got banks that started off with 4 floors, but they've got the infrastructure to build up. And they are considering that right now. We've got condos that are being built that are this, X stories high, but they're basically doing it based on what they believe is the market for that. Now, will we ever be Indianapolis? Probably not. But I do think we have a good chance to be like an Omaha. I do. Our quality of life for this generation, I think, is never been better. But we still have some work to do. I understand that. I do. But I feel strongly that we're on that path to making it happen. Things like an event center, things like a Washington Pavilion, an Orpheum Theater, a district, getting more and more businesses that you'd see in a Minneapolis or in Omaha coming to Sioux Falls, making money. That's happening. Having places for young people to live in downtown, that's exciting, where you can go out, have a beer, meet with some friends, and then walk to your place. There is something, though, that I think we're still missing in a big way, and that's improved public transportation. I struggle with that. Young people, more and more, they want to use public transportation. We're investing a ton of money into it, but we still need to do more. And to me, it's one of the biggest challenges that I'm going to face in my second term, and that the council is going to face as long as they're on the council, is meeting the needs of public transportation. So again, thank you for your guts to say what you did. But I do think that we're making progress. I do. But it's not easy. Gosh, I'm in a good mood. We had this river ramp, this parking ramp over the river. It was fully paid for. It was the most utilized parking ramp in our entire system. It was a cash cow. And I wanted to tear it down. Because to me, it was really holding back development in downtown. So we put together a proposal to tear that thing down. Ultimately, we did, and I'm incredibly glad that we did, because now we've got phase 2 of the River Greenway there. We've got a new Hilton hotel there and conference room. We've got businesses that are sprouting up around there, and I took some heat and still take some heat for doing it, but that's why you hired me. So thank you. Good job. Other topics? Thank you.
I was going to ask a little bit about public transportation. I'm
Yes.
glad you brought it up. I know for the bigger events at Yankton Trails, for Jazz Fest, they have the shuttles coming in and out. Is there any plans for that for the bigger events, say at the event center or downtown, say like Hot Harley Night, so people are trying to park less and they can park at, say, Washington or Roosevelt and just get shuttled in?
Thank you. And Jennifer, that kind of ties into your comment. These are tactics that other cities have been using for generations. Things like shuttle services, and parking away. You park here for free, and then they shuttle you back and forth. And the answer to that is you bet. And we've already started to do that with some of our bigger events. We are beginning to shuttle people, but again, it's a mindset change. We're just not used to it. We're used to getting into our truck, driving up, going to the event, getting back in our truck, and driving home. But we are growing as a city, and along with that comes change. And shuttle services are going to be part of that solution. But again, public transportation is a big deal. We are 75 miles of city, but really, we only provide public transportation to a certain percentage of that 75 miles. If you live beyond that, you've got no access. So in my mind, you're held hostage by our public transportation system in terms of our ability to serve. And we're growing. most cities that are truly a big city, they have got public transportation to just about every part of it, and we really don't. And there's all kinds of causes for it, and that's what the council's working on, that's what the administration's working on, and that's what we're going to tackle, but we've got to make it happen. I mean, you
So you saw the efficiency of the public transportation overseas?
oh my gosh. The comment was, you know, the efficiency, the productivity, as well as the impact, I think, on our environment too, overseas. They utilize public transportation in only ways we can only dream about. Again, they're not very reliant on cars or on trucks. They're really not. They're more reliant on walking and biking and you know, things like public transportation, whether it be trains or buses, subways. So yeah, we've got some work to do. We do. But you know, our challenge too is that the federal government used to be kind of a cash cow for cities to meet the needs of public transportation. Well, the federal government, they don't have any money, and they are really limiting how much financing they're giving cities when it comes to public transportation. And so we're going to have to think of a solution that we can do on our own or pay for on our own, and that's what makes it harder. So thank you. Others, thank you.
Is that the major issue, just dollars and cents, or is it logistics of figuring out new routes, employees, mechanics, everything like that?
We can figure out the logistics quite well when it comes to public transportation. We can. We know what we want to do. We know how we want to serve the public. We know where the demand is. I think we've got a pretty good flavor of that. But it usually comes down to dollars and cents, and it is again here. If you've got limited dollars and limited cents, then you are forced to prioritize. You've got to make tough choices. And that's ultimately what we're doing in the city of Sioux Falls. Now, I might as well address this, and I might as well address it on camera. One of our greatest challenges, but also one of the things that we celebrate, is that, you know, we've got a great paratransit service in Sioux Falls. It's probably the catalog of paratransit services across the country. It's something that we truly have believed in, we care about, and you know, there's folks that are not, you know, they don't have the ability to get from point A to point B like I do, and so they've got another need, and that's where paratransit comes into place. However, paratransit takes up half of our public transportation budget. Half. That just doesn't happen in towns across America. So for us to expand regular public transportation, we are going to have to change that business model in some way. We are. And so we are taking a hard look at paratransit and trying to figure out, is there a different way to do this? And it's difficult. It is. It's very difficult. But it is something that you know, we're paid to do as public servants. You elect us to do as public servants, and we're gonna tackle it with the help of the citizens. So it's a combination of really, you know, supply and demand, but also limited tax dollars, and serving all these special needs that are out there.
Would you say there's more demand on the paratransit side, proportionally to race? So is there any way you could, efficiency-wise, you know, just figure out to where it can coexist? You know, because I just know that there's a lot of people out there that use that paratransit, and they wouldn't be able to get around without it.
Yeah.
So to totally nix it and get rid of it, I think it's kind of, you know, preliminary. You just think if we get rid of it, it's fine. Is there a way that they can coexist?
Absolutely.
If you just increase the efficiency of the routing and things like that.
We, first of all, we're not going to nix paratransit, no way, shape, or form. We have squeezed juice from a turnip. when it comes to evaluating efficiencies not only on paratransit but also on public transit. That's some of the studies that have been done now by the council and others, trying to find even more efficient ways to serve the public. We are going to find a way to continue to coexist paratransit and regular transit. We are. But I'll give you a little reality here. I mean, it costs us about $3 to provide a regular transit ride, and we charge about $1. Okay? Well, it costs us about $25 for a paratransit ride, and we charge about $3. So that you can get a sense that it's a more expensive, no less important, but it is very, very expensive. And so we're trying to find a way to, meet the needs of everybody. But what you're going to find when you run for mayor someday or city council is that when you always have these limited dollars, Jennifer wants this. She thinks this is the biggest priority in the world, this particular topic. You've got a priority that is obviously the most important thing in the world. You've got a topic that obviously needs the most dire attention, and that's that push-pull, trying to find that balance so that we can all coexist as a community. But there's 162,300 unique personalities here, and our job is to meet the needs of all of them, and we're trying to do that. And I think in Sioux Falls we do it incredibly well, but it's not always easy. Yeah, so thank you. We are going to figure it out. We are. But before I'm done, I do want more expanded routes, more options for public transportation, because to me, public transportation has got to be one of the solutions of our town. Thank you. Yes.
So, when I say like Walmart and the event center, the pool, snow gates, what's the next big hot button issue that you've been hearing about the most?
Good job. Wow, you hit the big ones. I personally, and not everybody likes this. There's a lot of folks who say, Mayor, why don't you just take a break? Let's just kind of just maintain the status quo. Let's kind of enjoy the things that we've tackled over the last 4 years. Not my style. Not my style. And I think that if you're not moving forward, you're obviously going to fall behind. And there are still needs for our town. There's opportunities for our town. There's issues for our town. And I think we need to tackle them. And you mentioned some big ones. Indoor aquatics facility. We're finally going to get that done after talking about it since the 1950s. Event center, finally going to get it done. Snow gates, finally going to get implemented. Walmart, that was a hot topic. What's the hot topic now? The one that is maybe most controversial? It is actually a little quiet right now. We just got through the city election. Probably the hottest topic is involving national politics, state politics. But I think the hottest topic for Sioux Falls, probably a couple of them. The hottest one is just staying one step ahead of growth. That's a hot one. Keeping people safe, making sure that our infrastructure is sound, investing in more libraries, more fire stations, more police women and more police men. That's probably the toughest thing. I think the biggest thing that we're going to tackle over the next 2 years will be the rail yard relocation project, that 10 acres of land. I am so thrilled by that. It's going to be a biggie. Now, the odds are very, very good. We're going to have another big debate about our next big store that's going to come into town, because the odds are good it's going to be near a neighborhood. And so there's going to be neighbors who are going to go, hey, I don't want that in my backyard. I don't. That happens all the time. So there will be another one of those. One that just popped into my head that could get controversial involves annexations. Okay? Our town is growing. And as we grow in terms of land mass, we're now starting to surround these little pockets of homes that weren't part of Sioux Falls. And now they ultimately are getting surrounded one side, two sides, three sides, even four sides. And guess what? We have to work with them to try to annex them into the city. And that is not always fun. Because a lot of the expense is incurred by the homeowner, by the landowner. And so we're trying to find that balance. That could be one of the hottest button issues that we're going to have to deal with as a city, because we've identified, 3, 4, 5, 6 areas of town that we are looking to annex. And those neighbors, they're proud people. They've got their own dreams, their own set of realities, and they may not mesh entirely with what the city of Sioux Falls wants to do. So that'll be it. Those will be big. Yeah. Thank you.
You had mentioned with growth and development, what's either your vision or the city's vision, I guess, for future transportation, major highways, roadways, things like that, such as the 229 development that they did years ago?
Good job. Good job. First of all, we are so blessed to have all these interstates in our town. Oh my gosh, what a blessing to have, I-90, 29, 229. Those are roadways that you just can't imagine how powerful they are. So those are good. My vision when I was first elected was to take all of these roadways and strengthen them. I was not pleased with the status of our roads when I was first elected, and I think that we've made dramatic progress to improve them. That's still my goal. I always want to invest in infrastructure at the highest level, and we still have some work to do. We still have potholes out there. We still have thermal brakes. Those are those things where you're driving and all of a sudden you go bump, 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 bump. Those are called thermal brakes. Repairing those, and making our roads wider, smoother, faster, safer. The biggest project that I think is going to help meet the needs of our city is called Highway 100, and that's kind of out there by Dolly Farm, the southwest part of the southwest part of our town, the southeast part of our town, and the south part of our town. That is going to be a major roadway that we'll utilize to move a ton of people through our town. And we cut a new deal with Governor Dugard and his team to make that happen. And it was a great partnership, coexisting. The governor, he's got a ton of cities, towns saying, hey, Governor, we need more money for our roads. And at the same time, he realizes that a lot of the sales tax revenue comes from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So he's trying to meet the needs of both. And so we cut a new deal when it came to Highway 100, and we're executing that deal now, and we are, adding to that Highway 100 stretch, and it won't be completed when as I'm your mayor, but a good portion of it will. But then just again, investing, making our roadways, adding more turning lanes, investing in things like improved traffic technology, because ultimately, I don't know if we're going to have drones flying overhead, monitoring the traffic of our town, but I'm not going to say that may not happen. We've already got, cameras and that are looking at 26th Street, that 26th Street corridor. We're watching that traffic right now. We are, and we're adjusting based on what we see. Well, we're going to go to 41st Street. We're going to go to Minnesota Avenue. We're going to go to Cliff. And we're going to use technology at the highest level to help us keep Sioux Falls moving. So, yeah. What do you do for a living?
Store manager at Walgreens.
At Walgreens. Can I ask where you're at? Which one?
12th
12th and Kiwanis. Well, it's interesting. Walgreens, for example, you know, they're on a corner. And they're on a corner for a reason, because they want a bevy of heavy traffic flow. But at the same time, Walgreens, they want people to get in and get out of their store in a safe and efficient way. Well, you know, here we are, we're improving these roadways. For example, over there on Louise and 41st Street. Well, when we improve those roadways, we may hear from Walgreens, you know, hey, Mayor, they can't get in and out as fast as normal. And so you hear it for a while. And it's not just Walgreens, it's every business in town. But we've got to keep making these infrastructure improvements, or else you know, we're not going to keep up. There's 4,000 of you folks moving into our town every year. 4,000. I mean, we're only 162,300, but we are growing right now 4,000 people a year in the city. We are America's next boomtown. And that was given to us for a reason, because we are booming, and people want to live here for all kinds of reasons. So good job. Others?
I hate to do it to you, but I'm going to bring it full circle from my first question, because I work for the Sports Authority.
Yes.
So you brought up hot button issues, and this is something I've actually got a ton of emails on, seen the story and everything, event center siding.
Yeah.
Can you explain to everyone that's watching and everything, you know, what's the whole story behind it? Is it going to rust? All that kind of stuff.
Good
job.
The
concerns that people have brought up to me that I defer to Kendra and other people like that, because I'm not going to answer that. You know, the city has to have one voice. So,
thank you. You know what? Can I pull this? If we're building, you know, we're building our event center, and it's going incredibly well. However, there is one thing that we've seen on our new event center that we are concerned about, and we're checking into it now. In fact, we've hired a third-party person to analyze this to see if it is truly an issue. If you build a building and it's you know, 4 sides, you can put the siding on that in a pretty simple fashion. You know, you take a smooth piece of wood or steel or siding, and it's smooth. You put it up against it. You attach it, and you do the next one. Okay. If it's a straight angle, it's fairly easy to do. Well, what's happened is that with our new event center, is that if you look at the south side of our new event center, it is rounded. Okay, it is rounded in its shape. So we're utilizing a steel as the siding. Well, steel is not as flexible as would be some other materials, and so as they were putting that steel on in an angle, there were some of those steel pieces that didn't look as smooth as the others. That is the concern. It's not a structural issue in terms of nothing's going to fall down. It's not an issue in terms of it's going to rust or water's going to get into it or things like that. But it's probably mainly an aesthetic issue. You know, we're spending $117 million on something. You want it to look as good as it possibly can. And you know, my commitment to you, my commitment to those people who are emailing you, my commitment to everybody in this town is that we're going to get our money's worth. I've built a number of homes in my lifetime. When I build a home, I don't cut the final check until, you know, every one of those little red buttons, those little red stickers of things that I found are the way that I want them. And I think the same thing should be for the city of Sioux Falls. We're going to evaluate this. We'll figure it out and see if it is truly an issue. Again, you don't want me building your new event center. I'm not your construction guy. But at the same time, we're going to address this topic. Again, we've got a great event center. It looks incredible. The inside, the outside, it's absolutely fine in terms of its beauty and its aesthetics. However, if there are things that are not done to our specifications or to the original specifications as we were building it, we're going to make that happen or do our best to make it happen. And it's not always easy. Not always easy. So, yeah, we are supposed to get a report from this third-party consultant here within the next week or two. So thank you. Good job. Why are they emailing you? That's interesting.
They have an issue with not knowing exactly the reach of the sports authority, so they just think putting it into the sports world is going to, but I direct them to the cities.
Yeah, I think that's best. You know, we've got a really good working relationship with the contractors and all the folks that are doing the work. But ultimately, you know, it is business. And part of business is that you have to hold people accountable at all times, and that's what we're doing. So good job. That's a tough question. Good job. Others? Any topic? Yes. Welcome.
Thank you. Mike, my name's Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Thanks for being here with us. I'm enjoying this. I've only seen it from television, you know, at my home. So I was really excited to be able to come and hear you in person.
Thanks, Terry.
My question is more of a personal one. It has to kind of do with leadership.
Yes.
That's kind of my interest in, you know, kind of being here. I know that politics and stuff like that can be tricky in a long process. So, you know, you got to have patience with leaders, and that's just that. Before my question, I had one question for you and a comment. My buddy, he's an administrator in Harrisburg. And he puts up these cool articles all the time on Facebook. And the one I saw yesterday said that South Dakota had the lowest cost of living in the nation.
Yes,
did you see that?
Just in the paper today.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I think that's awesome, especially considering anything from an economic development standpoint. If families are spending less in home, that's more they can spend in the city. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I would like to tell you my favorite thing about South Dakota or Sioux Falls is how safe I feel. Coming from Omaha, you mentioned Omaha, and we've seen some growth down there in certain areas and stuff, but we also see our fair share of drug violence and gangs. Yes. And I was able to come out of some of that. And my favorite thing about this city is how safe I feel and how safe I know my son is in Sioux Falls. So I just wanted to kind of commend you guys on that. And I don't know if it's because I'm on South Louise Avenue, a little closer to Harrisburg, but even all around the whole city, I still feel pretty all around safe. So I wanted to let you know that is my favorite thing about Sioux Falls. My question would be, again, it was more about a leadership style. I really like your style, Mike. And I was kind of just wondering, where do you model your leadership from? Like, what is it that drives you to be kind of more grassroots? You seem more so a little grassroots. You definitely seem like you connect well with people. And I just aspire to be something like that. And I just kind of wonder, for you being the mayor of this city, what is it that drives you from a leadership standpoint, whether it's any theories or maybe even any scriptures that just kind of keeps you grounded? I wonder what is your drive and what pushed you to be so charismatic, if you will, with the people.
Well, Terry, first of all, thanks for your comments. I appreciate it. I will address your question. And people have been watching me for years, trying to figure me out, you know, what makes me tick. No, good job. Well, I'll try to give you a synopsis of you know, this crazy mayor and why I am the way that I am. First of all, I truly am driven by the people. And I'm not trying to be a politician here. You just have to understand where I came from. My folks were divorced when I was in the 5th grade. My dad had a severe problem with drinking. And so his ability to support our family was very, very limited. So my folks were divorced. I was the oldest of 4 kids. My mom was the head nurse at the state hospital at the time, otherwise called the Human Services Center now. And so my mom worked with people that were, you know, had some mental challenges. But my mom taught me to really, no matter who a person is, what they've done, where they're from, what their income level, what the color of their skin is, what their, what they are important. And they're just as valuable as anybody else. So, I've got that in me. At the same time, my dad, even though he was an alcoholic and he had some challenges, my dad would want to walk into the room and he would want to know all of you and your individual stories. That's what he taught me, is that, he just wanted to engage you. He wanted to, know about you. And my dad was in sales as well. So, it was just something, he was driven by the personality and driven by, the people that he engaged. And I loved him, when he was drinking, but I loved him a lot more when he was sober. Because I saw just how he connected with people in such a grand way. I also, I'm driven by all kinds. I am a business person. I was in business for 25 years in corporate America. So I am driven by business strategy, business goals, business tactics. I am driven by that. I was taught by the finest companies possible in terms of how to succeed in business and how to make things more productive, more efficient, more accountable, more service-friendly, more quality-oriented. I was trained at the highest level. And it wasn't always fun, but so I'm trying to incorporate that. I am a faith-based guy, and I get in trouble. I'm not gonna beat anybody down, but I have figured out there's something here more that I can't control. I've seen it happen in my life. I can't figure it out. So I am driven by faith. By stewardship. I'm a huge stewardship guy, giving time, talent, and treasure. To me, that's what we're here for. We take the day that God gives us and we do something with it. We give our time, we give our talent, and yes, if we've got some extra dollars, give it away so that you can make a big difference with that. I was driven, Terry, by this role. Trying to make a long story short again. When I was in the 5th grade, my folks were divorced, and I became a 6th grader. I had really bad buck teeth. I had a helmet head for a haircut. I had really bad clothes because my folks had, my mom had no money. We lived in the poor side of town. I was really feeling bad about myself. Why me? Why my family? Why this? Why that? Well, I entered the speech contest, Terry, on public service. And I won. And it gave me this confidence level that, holy crap, maybe I can be somebody. Maybe I can do something with my life. And it kind of kick-started me. And then I got into, high school, and I was the president of my junior class, president of my senior class, went to SDSU, was elected vice president of the university when I became a sophomore. And then I made a commitment that I wanted to be in public service. And so my wife and I, we dated 5 years, and then we've been married now 27. But Cindy's had to deal with this dream of mine to be in public service. But I wanted to wait until Kylie graduated or left the nest. Because, my dad wasn't around, and again, God rest his soul, but my dad wasn't around when I was growing up, so I didn't want to do the same thing with Kylie. So Terry, once Kylie left the nest, she went to college, I decided to pursue this dream to become your mayor. And so I left my job. People thought I was nuts. They still think I'm nuts. But I left my job and I ran full time to earn the honor to be your mayor. And there were 7 candidates, and I wanted to do it the old-fashioned way, and that was to, I wanted to shake hands again, kiss babies again, engage the public again, a lot of, shoe leather, and it worked. It worked. And I'm still trying to do that. You people, you drive me crazy. But you have to understand, I love it. I love it. I do. It's hard on me. It eats me up inside. I had Terry. I had just went through an election, and I'll be honest with you. I'm going, why didn't, take care guys, thanks for being here. You know, I was going, you know, what did I do wrong? There were still, you know, 40% that thought that somebody else should be their mayor. And Terry, I can't get over it. And I'm trying to move on, but I'm, you know, I lost one district out of 14. I lost one. Well, guess where my first listening and learning session was after I was reelected? Was that district. You know, I went in there. I wanted to go right into the den where I lost to find out, you know, what do I need to do better? What does this city need to do better to serve those people, to serve all of you? And so right now I'm kind of, not that I don't care about the 60% that voted for me, but I'm really concerned about the 40% that didn't. Because I want to know why. Well, what am I doing wrong? Terry, obviously you think I'm doing okay, and I thank you. But there's 4 out of 10 in this room that wish that there's probably a different mayor. And so I want to figure out why. So I don't know, that's a lot of stuff in a short period of time, Terry. But, you know, I am what I am. People that watch this program, that watch me in the media, see me on the street, there's still people who are still trying to figure me out. But what I'll tell you, you know, what you see is what you get. I'm just going to go blah, and that's it. That's it. The other day, there was a TV station who said something about something that I had done and how politically it may hurt me. And I turned to this person who was in, and they were good man, and he meant well. And I turned to him and I said, this isn't about politics. To me, this is all personal. This is all personal. I throw myself into everything that I do, and it's ultimately going to kill me at an early age. But that's just the way I am, Terry, and not everybody likes it. And I respect that. But
very admirable to have boldness and leadership. And I see you putting yourself in the dens, like you say, just to make yourself accessible, you know, to any questions you might have. So I think your leadership style is there.
Well, I do thank you. That's all right. I do like to, I want to tackle the tough things. I do. Ultimately, I think it makes me stronger when you tackle the tough things in life, and I'm not afraid of those things. You know, and that's where, you know, there was this perception about, oh, you know, there's this distrust in government. No, there's not. It's maybe the highest level of trust we've had in a long time. However, what did we do? We tackled some really, really tough issues just in the last year. And we didn't, you know, put our head in the sand and hope that they'd go away, or let some future mayor or some future council or some future citizens tackle them. No. We said, we're going to tackle them now, even though they're hard, because we think that's the right thing to do. And that's what we did. So thank you. Good job, Terry. Thank you. And thanks for letting me be your mayor, and I'm glad you're in Sioux Falls. Thank you. And I agree with you. We're a very safe town. Now, not everybody is, you know, there's still some improvements we need to make there too. But we're a very safe town when you compare us to other cities. We just are. How are we doing for time, you think?
You know, I don't know how much time do we have.
Well, we got some folks that are now having to go back to work, and I respect that. I mean, folks, does anybody have a hot one they want to ask me before we end it? Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you. Or two? Is it? We'll have this be our last question. How about that? And again, before I leave, and before you leave, thank you. You could have easily done something else over the last, you know, hour and a half. But obviously, you must care a little bit about this city and kind of the direction we're going. And If you can get this message back out to other people of your generation, I think that's great. You know, have a beer with them, have a soda with them, have a pizza with them. Tell them what we talked about. Dispel the rumors. Get them involved, and then ultimately, can I ask you a favor? My gosh, you know, you folks have to vote. You have to vote. You're killing me. You're killing me. Because on one hand, you want our city to progress, to tackle some of these things, to become, you know, more grown up and vibrant and things like that. Thank you. But when it comes to having your voice heard in the voting booth, you don't do it. You know, you find an excuse not to. And you're killing us. You're killing us because if you don't vote, the same folks who always vote, they're going to vote. And they've earned that right, and they've garnered that power because they do exercise that power in the voting booth. So help me get that message out too. So thank you, sir.
Yep, my name's Jordan, and
Thanks, Jordan.
thanks again for doing this. This is awesome. I enjoy the heck out of this, and I think everybody else does.
Thank you.
This might tie it up really well. I think I've been a lifelong resident. I've lived here my whole life, and I think more has been done for the city, whether or not people like it or not. I think more has been done in your first 4 years than for the 28 years that I've lived here. And a question that I have is, obviously you have a lot of momentum behind you. Sure, there's 40% of people wanted another mayor, but maybe they wanted somebody that wasn't ready to shake things up and get things done. That's one thing that I admire the most about what you and your administration have done. One thing I'm curious about is, what did you learn in the first 4 years? How has it changed the way that you try to run the city? And do you feel that with all that momentum behind you, that it's easier to take on other challenges that are there as opposed to just letting them rest on the side of the road?
Jordan, thank you. First of all, thanks for your kind comments. I appreciate it. We are getting stuff done. And in fact, that was the theme of my campaign, as you know. I think we are getting stuff done, and I love that. But that's ultimately my style. I'm a to-do list guy. I want to knock it off, and go to the next thing. Momentum. We also do have a ton of momentum in all kinds of ways. And to me, it's all about confidence. All about confidence. It truly is. Everything that we do as a football team, everything that we do as a family, everything that we do as a church, everything that we do as a city, it's all about confidence. And my goal was to improve the confidence of this town. The investors, the developers, the business owners, the citizens, the stewards, everybody. And I think that right now we're really confident. And so there's this perception that, you know what, we can tackle just about anything, and we are. We are. So yes, the momentum that I think that not only I have, but I think that the city has, I think is going to allow us to really continue this good path towards even more success. Now, Jordan, you asked me, what did I learn in the first 4 years? Well, simply put, I'll probably give you a couple. Number one, I want everybody to be pleased, and what I learned is that no matter what I do, no matter what we do as a city, there's going to be a certain percentage of the people who are just not going to be happy with the decision that we made or the thing that we did or the current situation. You cannot please everybody. And because of that, there's a lot of people who don't want to get involved in public service because they don't want to deal with the critics or the naysayers or the people who are going to challenge them because they do have a differing opinion. So that was something that you really learned quickly, is that, oh my goodness, there's always going to be a contingent who, no matter what the topic, they are going to be against you. And so that's something. Number two, I'm a business guy. I was in business at the highest level in corporate America for 25 plus years. Well, as much as I want to run government like a business, it is different. It is different. There are more checks and balances in government than I could have ever imagined. You take one step forward, and then all of a sudden you got to take 2 steps back. Take 3 steps forward, but then you got to take 2 more steps back for all kinds of reasons. The council may want to study it more. A citizen group may want more due diligence completed. Someone may even file a petition or a lawsuit that makes you kind of reconsider it. The media, they insist on as much availability, transparency as possible, so they can kind of throw a kink into it too. They mean well, they're doing what they're supposed to do, but that also depends on how it is reported, can also challenge you. So one thing that I learned, Jordan, is that you can't just expect that you're just going to knock this down and then go forward, knock this down and go forward. No, it doesn't work that way. You are always probably taking a step back before you can proceed again. That's a big one, that check and balance of government. Not having everybody, like what you're doing. But I think one thing that I've learned is that, there is this perception about government all across America that it can't work. It can't be effective. It's just a bunch of issues and controversy and people butting heads and my way or the highway. That's the perception of government right now in America. I learned that we can change that perception in Sioux Falls, and we have. We are getting things done. We are living within our means. We still add money to our city's piggy bank, even though we're getting all this infrastructure done and so much more. We can work together. Do we disagree? You bet. There are counselors every now and then who just make me mad. And I know those counselors are mad at me. But still, we find common ground. We use common sense. And ultimately, we can still get things done as a city and as a government. And I learned that. And I hope that the people of Sioux Falls and South Dakota, I hope that they've learned that too. Again, you've been incredibly patient, incredibly, you've challenged me a little bit, and I think people are going to love this program. Again, let me thank you. Let me give kudos to Sioux Falls Synergy. I'll tell you, if you are, why don't I do this? I'll give you just a little kudos on Channel 16 or on CityLink. Grandmas, grandpas, moms, dads, brothers, sisters, if you've got a young professional out there and they want to get involved or they want to learn more about city or business or government or relationships or politics or whatever it would be, Sioux Falls Synergy is a great place to do that. And you can probably go to your website or whatever it would be. There's other groups. There's Young Professional Network. There's all kinds of nonprofit organizations that are out there. There's other groups of professionals, whether it be the Chamber of Commerce. Get involved. And then my last one is that there's over 50 different citizen committees. Okay, over 50. And all of you can apply, and I get to pick who goes on those. And I'm trying to make it more diverse. I am. I'm trying to put people of color, people of different backgrounds, people of different sexes, people of different age groups. I am trying to do that. And it's stirring up the pot a little bit. But again, I've got 4 more years to do it, and I think people are used to that by now. But I want to get everybody involved. I do. Terry said, Mayor, it sounds like you're I don't know if you said man of the people or what it was, but grassroots guy, that's probably perfect. I commend the leaders of this city, and I thank them for their stewardship and the efforts that they've made. But I've had a goal for 4 years, and that is to build more leaders, to develop more leaders as a grassroots level, to get others involved in this government, in this city, in the things that we're doing, to truly make a difference, and I think that's why we're winning. That's how we got the event center passed. It was the highest voter turnout in our city's history. And it was a special election. Highest voter turnout in our city's history. Why? Because young and old, rich or poor, black or white, they all got engaged in this topic, and they decided, I'm going to have my voice heard, and they voted, and ultimately, we did get it done. Not everybody voted for it, but we got it done, so that's just one example. So again, Sioux Falls Synergy, thank you. Thanks for your leadership, thanks for your stewardship, thanks for engaging me today, and just make it a great day, everybody. Thank you. Good job. Thanks. Nice job.